think we're here. Perfect. There he is. All right, guys, so we're finally here. It's taken us a good long time to get here, but here we are. We're going to start off telling you all of the little things that we have going and how we ended up getting here to the Falkyn. Dave himself, the engineer, designer, and owner, is going to go through all of the details, all the changes, and get you going. And then we'll follow along with a few demonstrations. So without further ado, Mr. Dave Singer.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, Stephanie. As you all know, Stephanie set this thing up. We're going to go through our new launch of our Falkyn, which is a brand new harness container system. It's our flagship model. We're just going to take a little bit of time just to introduce the system publicly and go through the features, go through what's new, what's better, what we feel is the best we could put on the market today. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit of history, I guess, is how do we get here, right? So if you don't know already, Peregrine Manufacturing's been around since 2013. We have the Glide harness container system on the market presently and the Glide GT. Both are available right now, as well as the Falkyn. So there's been a process going on in the background for about 10 years. I started this project as a side project 10 years ago, and it's just kind of taken on a life of its own. There's certain design parameters that I wanted to achieve that took some time and some evolution and just some new engineering methods. So we put a lot into it, and we're going to kind of go through it top to bottom for you. So the major difference between this system and any system that we've manufactured before is that this one was completely developed in 3D solid modeling software from the get-go before it ever became two-dimensional templates, which is sort of the opposite of the way it's been done for the last 40 years. Software has come so far these days that now I can design and develop in a basically a virtual world and then take that into reality much faster than we used to be able to do. So that's the big premise. The plan form is dramatically changed. We've gone from a shorter, more thick rig, we call it, the thickness here, to a longer, a thinner type of rig where it's not as short. It's got every rig is anywhere from 15 millimeters to 25, 30 millimeters longer, depending on the size and how much we're lengthening it from the previous container volume sizes. So that's kind of the big stuff. Might as well get into it, yeah?
Think so?
All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab one of our production models that just came off the line. This is one of our smaller rigs.
Here, let me just scan for you a little bit. There we go.
So there we go. We'll start with the back pad, so I'm going to flip it around. We'll start there and kind of explain things as we go here. The back pad is all brand new. It's built inside out, so we try and get rid of all the exposed stitching lines as we can, and we build it so that we have hidden stitching, which helps with wear and tear and broken stitching over time. It also creates a stronger stitch to the fabric, so the bond isn't really dependent on the thread, it's more dependent on the fabric strength. So some different construction methods there. We went to a inside out yoke system, so there's no binding around the yoke, which is another big design feature that we're happy about. So the back pad is part of a bigger system. I know it doesn't seem like much, but the contour over the shoulders, the way that this back pad is cut, contributes to the larger system, which is the harness and the way the harness fits. We call it the Nemesis harness system because it basically takes, when it's tightened up and fits you properly, it should relieve all the load of the rig on your shoulders and off of your hips. It should basically suspend the rig on your body without you feeling a bunch of weight on you. So it's specifically designed to do that. And the components that make that up are the way that the yoke is cut. So this area here over the shoulders, the supported lateral. So we have the stiffener here. So it's the stabilizer on the lateral. But the key is really the way that the hip ring is. So if you'll notice, the hip ring here is facing forward versus down. So that allows us to go into the ring here at the webbing slot, which really firms the rig up at the hip from the hip backward. It still allows all your freedom of motion up front. But the two-piece leg pad right into the ring, when you tighten up, it pulls directly onto that stabilizer, or the lateral actually, and it just provides a really nice stable feel to the rig. And it keeps the rig on your lower back in any type of upright flying, which was the really original intent. All right, so as you can see here, no more pop top, no more semi-exposed reserve pop top here. One of the major design features that we wanted to go with was to get that reserve pop or pilot chute inside all the way, for various reasons. Everybody's got their reasons. I've got mine. But we wanted to be the one to offer both types of systems. So the Glide and the Glide GT with the semi-exposed is still a viable product line, and you're able to get those with that design. And you can also get the Falkyn system with the internal reserve pilot chute. So that was a big one. So that change alone cascaded into a bunch of other changes that were needed just to be able to get that to happen. So we won't go into those dirty details, but there's another example on the mid flap on the reserve here. You'll see there's no exposed stitching. It's all built inside out so that you don't have that exposed stitch out here. We went with our secondary riser covers, or internals as some people like to call them. And our magnetic riser cover system is standard on all the rigs as well. Our magnetic riser covers are a little bit unique from others. They're user adjustable, so you can add more magnets. There's space in there to add a nice 1/2-inch magnet if you wanted to. And you can add some magnetic force, not that we've encountered anything that you've needed to, but if you did want to do that, and you can also remove some. They're easily replaceable in the field, so they're quite user-friendly and quite effective.
Show them that pocket.
So let's take a look at that, and we'll show you what that means. So inside the riser cover, there is a vinyl pocket like this. And as you can see, there's little slots cut in each section, and you can simply pop the magnet out. It takes a little bit of work to get it out, but it is user replaceable. The vinyl that we use is intended to protect them from smacking together and cracking, but in the event that they do crack, they're simple, easy to replace. But as you can see, we leave a little bit of space in here in the middle and in the side where you can slide a small square one in to add on the front of the back if you wanted to. You can also remove one of the front of the backs if you're very light or find yourself doing a lot of hop and pops that you don't want to have that extra riser magnetic force. You can adjust it and bump it down a little bit. But they just flip right back inside just like that. And you have the same on the inside of the yoke as well. They come standard with 3 magnets, front, middle, and rear.
Yep. Tell them a little bit about the options they have on the backside. You told them a little bit about construction and how that's changed, but not about the options that we're offering them on the backpack now.
Sure. Sorry about that. So we are off, as you can see, the panels are it's broken into 3 panels for the back pad. So you have this center piece, and then you have the 2 side pieces. You can get spacer foam here or the cush like you see You can also get these panels in Cordura. So that opens up the whole design palette, so you can create different colors on your backpad if you wanted to. So there's the three options: a full Cordura backpad with the different color panel options, the cush, and the spacer foam.
And with the Cordura, they can choose multiple different colors as well as embroideries.
Yep, you can also add embroidery in here if you wanted to. There's all kinds of things we can do. That just opens up a design feature with the Cordura backpad.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's talk more about the reserve container changes. We went through.
Okay.
Started talking about the removal of that pop top.
Yep.
Let's open it up and tell me a little bit about the entire closing system there.
All right, so we'll put that one aside and we'll just get one that's opened up here. So, like I said earlier, there was some changes a cascade of changes that needed to happen to allow for the internal reserve pilot chute. The basic overall design of the reserve container remains unchanged, with the exception of the change in the plan form, making it thinner and longer. The inside, it doesn't look any different other than our new AAD pocket, which I'm going to open up and so you can see in here. We tried to use some contrasting stitching ones so you can see, but the pocket is integrated into the reserve container. It's not an add-on. It's not a sew-on pocket anymore. We've actually integrated the pocket so that there's no bound edge anymore. So specifically this bottom corner, where the AAD pocket is typically sewn on, that's a snag point for the line stow bites that are right there. So we eliminate all of that lower snag hazard of the AAD pocket, the aftermarket AAD pocket that's installed usually.
And then this is for the line, right? And it covers the line up to
the normal
actual
channels for your AAD control unit and your cutter. Those all remain unchanged.
Okay.
The changes to the container flaps are going to be, we replaced what used to be your line stow cover, just it was a half flap like this,
Right.
with a longer flap with a grommet. So the flap was always there before, it just never had the grommet in it.
Okay.
Okay, so that top flap is now here. Free bag goes in, this goes first. Boom.
Yep.
Your bridle will get stowed here, and we've changed, if you're familiar with the Glide, all the modifications for the ACE MARD system were on the free bag and the RSL. There were no container system modifications needed. This rig was designed from the start with the intention of having the MARD system standard. So we do have a slightly different system because of that design parameter, or a slightly different setup. But it's very familiar. It's very consistent with what we're seeing across the board with every manufacturer, and we're putting the MARD on that sub flap.
Which is
And
on
then,
the right side now.
yes, the RSL does have to change as well. But this protective flap you would pack the MARD system under here, close it up, protect it, and then away you go. Boom, boom.
Yep.
So-
Now, you were saying also about the change in the reserve free bag, or for the free bag to the size of the reserve container.
Right. So one of the things over the years was that the free bag was typically oversized from the container, somewhere between 15 and 20%. What that allows the rigger to do is get the parachute into the bag quite easily, somewhat easily. But when you get to the container, now the container has to do some of that compression force. So now you're forcing that wedge into a hole that's smaller, or container that's smaller, right? So what we've done now is we've reduced that down to about 10%. So now the free bag is only 10% oversized. So now we've pushed the difficulty level slightly, getting the canopy into the free bag, which is no longer a molar bag, by the way. It's a 2 grommeted bag that you use your soft bodkin with, which then makes it a lot easier to pack too, because it's not a molar bag, right? So there's some things increase, some things decrease in difficulty level, but nothing's insurmountable or anything that's out of the normal. So what that reduction in free bag size does is it allows the free bag to easily go into the container, and closing the container becomes slightly easier. So you don't fight with it as much. And then extraction force is reduced because now you don't have a container holding that oversized, 20% oversized packed parachute inside. So it allows things to ease up a little bit. So there's pluses and minuses to that, but mostly pluses. So that's kind of it on the reserve container. There's nothing crazy there. We're really trying to create consistency across the reserve container system, the emergency side, so that riggers see the same site picture over and over again. So I feel that that's important, that we start creating that consistency across the board. It just makes everybody safer when things start looking similar.
You spoke a little bit about the reserve or the ripcord change and the pin, that whole system. Did you go through that?
We're going to open up the reserve pin flap right now.
Perfect.
So here we're going to look at the under the reserve pin cover flap. We did go away from the cable and pin and went to a Spectra ripcord system. It's the identical build to a UPT one. We actually pay the royalty to them to use that. So again, it's the same type of system. Ours is just orange Spectra versus blue. One big thing that we did change was we were able to eliminate the Velcro here. I'm not a big fan of Velcro, so we were able to create a stiffened portion of the ripcord lanyard, or the lanyard here with bar tacks, and then it just gets held in here with a piece of elastic, and a nice heavy duty piece of elastic. Easily replaceable, but as we all know, things wear out, but that should be nice and good for quite some time, and if it does wear out, it's super easy to replace. With that said, when we went to this style of pin, we needed to get the RSL over to the other side. So from the Glide, you have the RSL on the wearer's left. When you go to a Falkyn, the RSL goes to the wearer's right. And when you do that, that is when, in my brain, it clicks to having a Collins lanyard. So we've added the Collins lanyard to this system. I will show you our nifty little pocket here. So underneath the reserve riser, or under the riser covers here, if I just move the reserve riser out of the way slightly, you'll see here there's a little pocket, and there's our window. I can't show you here.
Collins
there's
lanyard.
the red webbing is the Collins lanyard. Obviously the yellow cable is your Lowlon cable, and it's covered by the RSL protector channel and that little stiffened tab that goes in there to give it protection or a buffer from the reserve risers. So there's that. Close this back up.
All right. I think did we already talk about the VOC?
We haven't talked about the main yet.
Ah.
So
They put it on the back.
So there's been a little bit of buzz about the main closing system. We're going to go over a demo in a few minutes, but we're just going to show it to you now. We'll briefly go over it as we go over the main container changes and things like that. But we're going to go over a few live demonstrations on how we actually pack it and some tips and tricks to make it easier for you if you're a packer. So we're going to take a look at this. For the riggers out there, the master riggers, this is a field replaceable main pin cover flap. You can call and order it with a serial number to match original, and it easily is just taken out, and a new one goes right back in. So we send you the built part. Anyways, here we go. There it is. There's some new technology here. Obviously, these Sigma D-rings are just Sigma D-rings from a tandem system. That's where they started being used. That's what they were developed for the Sigma tandem drogue system, the disc. We took that and we just took it a step further, and we started using it on the main side flaps. We did that for a few different reasons. One is I didn't want any more plastic in here, okay? The plastic itself typically has a straight line right here, which creates points and a point. which lines can grab and hold on. And part of advancing things and trying to prevent that particular issue is getting rid of any of those 90 degrees out here where a line can stop and anchor on, right? So another reason to get rid of the plastics is, I don't know how many rigs are out there that BOC side here. So the binding tape here, you get to about 600, 700 jumps, and right there on the underside where the bridle comes, whoop, every time, right here is usually where the binding tape starts to fail. The stitching will go, and then the binding tape or the plastic will pop through. So it becomes a wear point just with the bridle sliding by. So what we did was, instead of having just 2 pieces of plastic here with a grommet, we stiffened this area with ballistic cloth inside. So there's a specially designed and shaped piece of ballistic cloth in here that is rounded on the backside, and it also stiffens and stabilizes the whole bottom end of the rig. So that gives the body and the structure of this main side flap and supports the D-ring, the Sigma D-ring system. So some of you may have seen that before. Hopefully you have. We're not the first to do it, but we are trying to bring this into the mainstream. This is a safer system for various reasons. It's the most pin protected system that you can get. Having that pin here underneath this D-ring, it does our best to keep it away from a premature main deployment, and that's what we don't want.
You can still pack it on top, right?
You can still pack it with the pin on top, and that's just fine too. The only trade-off is that with the pin packed the way I have it now, you have a very low profile here, very low profile of the main pin cover. When you pack it the other way, you get the pin's going to raise up just a little bit, so you do lose a little bit of that that flush part of the main pin cover flap. But we're going to go over how to pack that in a few minutes. One other change that we did, the BOC pocket is incorporated in. It's not a sew-on, so it's sewn into the main bottom flap. You may be like, oh my God, that's going to be hard to replace. It's actually easier to replace than the bound ones. It just takes, you have to undo these corners here, and once it lays flat, then it's very simple to pop the old one out, put the new one in. Another feature that we did was every rig, the inside layer, I can't really see it, but inside the bottom flap is Parapack, which is a slipperier material, so you're not going, your pilot chute is easier to come out. That's really it. Obviously that's our nub handle. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it on the main container.
Yeah, and we'll give a demo later on all of the closing things.
Line deflectors.
Oh.
Line deflectors. So inside the main container, we have these little doodads, and you can see in here, if I can show you that, right here. These are sewn into.
Off angle at this, so we can see the corner of it.
Yeah. So this is the bottom of the reserve container, right? And your risers are up here. So if you picture your lines wrap around into the main container right here. So this little triangle piece here prevents the lines from snagging underneath the corner of the reserve container. So it's going to deflect anything up and off of there so they don't get snagged. So that's another little add-on that we put in. You can see our main closing loop retainers now anchored to the reserve bottom flap, so it's no longer on the main bottom flap, it's up here. Out of the way, nice and flush, no snag hazard there.
Gives you more of your container too, I think. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So.
All right.
I
I think we can talk about the harness system and how all of that incorporates together with it on.
Okay, so I'm going to put the rig on, and I'm just going to kind of show you how the harness system works.
Talk to them about how you put the rig on as well.
I will.
And why.
Sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the rig on like I normally do, and I'll kind of walk you through it. So leg straps on, put the rig over your shoulders. So one little dumb trick, and I'm sure most people know this, but if you don't, no big deal. So just lean forward a little bit at the waist, hike it over your shoulders, and then tighten the chest strap. Tighten it all the way. Just crank it up. You can always loosen it later, right? So all that's doing is keeping the rig over your shoulders and tight. Stay bent at the waist. Take your leg pad. Bring the leg pad around your leg. Don't try and pull the strap and pull the pads together, especially when they're new, because it's going to be a pain. So if you're able to pull the leg pad and milk it around too, so they meet, then you can tighten it up. The leg pads, if it's properly fitting, they should touch or just overlap or bottom out at the hardware and feel perfect. All right, so I'm just going to leave that undone. So once you're there, you can loosen up the chest strap to where you're comfortable, okay? Everything should feel supported. Like, I don't even feel like I have a rig on right now, because once I tighten up my leg straps, it pulls all this against my back, which then stiffens from here all the way to here, all the way down. And if it's fitting properly over the shoulders, then it basically lifts it off my shoulders. There's barely any pressure on my deltoids right now. You should also be able to reach up, have full range of motion, do everything you need to do, and not feel constricted in any way. And that's without chest rings. As we all know, as soon as the harness is loaded, it goes straight anyway. So,
And that's because of the cut. When you remove the chest, you can't. Well, first you can't put the chest rings in at all, right?
right,
So, but once you cut it completely around the shoulders,
it changes how it feels.
it changes how it fits.
Yep.
So it allows for even distribution across everything.
Right.
With the cut in the back pad, locking your spine in there and allowing a place for your spine, so it's not sitting off and you're not pushing into it. Your laterals sitting right at your hips, and causing this two-piece leg pad with the hardware completely locking you in and not allowing it to go anywhere off your back. Once you go vertical, it's not going to come off as long as you're properly fitted. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's it.
So that's the harness stuff.
Yeah. I think that's everything we have. Oh, that's ACE. Let's talk about the ACE. You want to do the ACE demo?
Yeah.
And then we can have a short intermission so we can set up to do all of the closing and opening stuff.
Sounds good. All right. So we're gonna grab some toys here.
All right, thank you.
All right. So Stephanie's going to be my demonstrator. She's going to help me. We're just going to go through the MARD system, our ACE MARD system. A couple different components. Free bag. Bridle. On the bridle, there's a modification like this. For the riggers, you should always be inspecting for 3 bar tacks on the rear. That's anchoring that pin in, so we want to make sure that that's all anchored. So that's an inspection point. 3 contrasting bar tacks on the rear. And for the riggers, the pin faces the pilot chute. So you want to make that Yep, we're going to go through all of that. I'm going to show how we connect this and how it holds during a cutaway and how it releases during a total. We're not going to go super deep into it. We're just going to demonstrate how you put it together and how it works. Okay. So, free bag, bridle, pilot chute. We're going to minus the risers. We can all imagine what's on the end of this. So, it's very simple, and there's a few critical elements to making this thing really work well, which is the Dyneema line. So the routing of that line, right here you can see going through the eye of the pin, is critical because it actually pulls the pin into the pocket at any direction of load. So no matter how the RSL is loaded, wherever the load is coming from, it's pulling the pulley and forcing the pin, so you have a solid connection and you get a MARD deployment without a release. So that was the important bit. That was a big design hurdle and we were able to achieve that. So I'm going to just put this together. I'm going to give you a couple easy things to help you remember. It is not hard. Once you do it once or twice, you can do it forever.
Yep.
If I can teach Stephanie,
Hey,
I think we can do
finish
it.
that. Don't finish that.
All right, so here we go. When you get it, it's most likely going to be open like so. The Dyneema line goes down through the grommet, and just pull the pin all the way to it for now. So you have all that length of Dyneema line like this, okay? Like down through the grommet like that. Then the orange lanyard is called the air snare. Okay, this is what connects the RSL to the modification. So the Dyneema line is going to go through the ring and back up through the grommet. Then the pin is going to go through the loop. Now, there's a red pocket here. So we're going to take the tip of the pin, and that goes in the red pocket. Then, as you can see, there's a bunch of red still around, right? So something red's not right. I'm still need to figure something out. So this tab is green. It goes inside. That's a protector tab, and it closes off all the red, turns the red to green, and now you've protected the pin and the connection. So we still have that little bit of slack. When we pack the rig, we actually go inside here and we pull that slack back, and there's a little pocket there that holds the ring up to the grommet when it's packed. So when it's in the rig, it should look like that. Like that. So that's the connection point. That's how we put it all together. Now we're going to show you the connection and then the release. So,
Yep.
All right. So Stephanie is going to be, you're going to be the main parachute. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold that.
Yep.
So this is a cutaway, a breakaway. So can you back up just a little bit? All right, so I think we're in there.
Yep.
So she's the main parachute, I'm the reserve parachute. Okay, so you just hold that. So you can see we're connected, it's not coming undone. So I want to show you what I was talking about with the Dyneema line and how that works. Okay, so I'm just going to open this up so we can see inside. So not many people understand this part about this. So I'm going to put the pin in here just slightly so you can see it there. Okay, just so it's inside. So see that the pin goes all the way into there. So I'm just going to leave it out just a little bit so you can see what happens when I pull on the RSL. It's basically because of the routing through the eye, down through and back up, the ring acts as a pulley and it forces the pin into the pocket. So no matter which way this is going, it's applying the same forces on that pulley, which is essentially forcing the pin in. So then, as soon as the load is released, then the pin is free to go, right? So that's what I was talking about earlier with that Dyneema line. So we're going to go back to you being the main parachute again. I'm the reserve parachute. So that's that connection, all right? So we figured that part out. Now we're going to go the other way. So now we're 800 feet. Pilot tells you to get out of the plane. You're going straight to a reserve, right? Total malfunction. So now pilot chute comes out. I'm going to have you are as if the RSL is still in the rig. It's still packed in the rig. And this is simply going to come apart. And as you can see, she's got the air snare in her hand. And all that does is pilot chute goes out, pulls that straight pin, allows that Dyneema line to release, and air snare is gone. Super simple. So
I think that's it.
that's
For
it
the
on
ace.
the ace. So now we're going to take a 5-minute intermission, and we're going to meet you over on the rigging mat, and we're going to go over main closing. We're going to show you a couple tips and tricks there, make it simple, show you how I do it. I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but it's just how I've been doing it. And hopefully somebody can take something away from that. And I think we're going to wrap it up with that, yeah?
Do you want to set that up? We'll go ahead and pause for a moment and we'll be right back with you guys.
All right.
Closing system.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said earlier, this, in my opinion, is the most protected main pin system on the market today. It's not anything that we should be alarmed about. There's nothing crazy here. People have been doing something similar.
Probably gonna be
There
a
you
little
go. Thank
better
you.
for everybody.
Some people have been doing something similar for quite some time with regular plastic and grommet side flaps. So we've just made it so that the design facilitates this type of closing system, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull the pilot chute out. I'm gonna pull the pin so you see the pin extract. And then I'm gonna go through how we close it, and we'll go from there, okay? So here we go. So our nub handle has the tab. So the tab is under the bridle cover here. So the tab extracts, handle, pilot chute out, and here we go. So super simple. There's nothing more there than, it's probably less than a grommeted side flap. Thanks, Steve.
No problem.
All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get us sorted out here.
All right, talk us through the closing while you do it.
Yep. All right. So there's a couple little tricks. Nothing crazy, I don't think, but it's enough to where if you do them, it makes it easier to pack the rig. So we went with the closing loop retainer on the reserve wall, which technically allows us a little bit more range with the main container, so you can put a bigger range of parachute in the rig without it being without running out of closing loop length on the bottom flap. So goes bottom, top, right, left, whatever acronym you choose to remember that with. All right, so first and foremost, when you're putting the main deployment bag in, it's got to be rotated. Make sure that that grommet that the bridle is going through is facing straight up that way, not this way. It's got to go straight towards the reserve or the AAD, okay? So that helps with a couple things. It's going to help you get the bottom down here filled out, and it's also going to push the bottom of the rig and get your bottom corners filled out here. So if you see rigs out there that you're on the plane that are all empty and weird right here, it's because the parachute bag is not, you put a square in a rectangle hole, and it's not right. So, all right, on all of our systems, you have a little space here for the excess bridle. So when I say the excess bridle, it's from the pin to the bag. If you just take that little bite, I usually put a little more in there than I need, and that way it holds it there for me. So while I'm packing, I can just pull out what I need as I'm going. So that right there, start here, bottom flap first. It's important that you take this and get it all the way up, okay? You wanna try and get this as far up as you can. If you can get it to touch the bottom flap, great. It's kind of hard on most rigs, but get it up there as far as you can and hold it there. It's important that you hold that there all the way through the side flaps because you're holding it out of the way of the wraparound corners, okay? So, first thing you'll see me do is get on there like that, hold it in place, top flap. So, here's another trick. Everyone wants to pull back towards them at this point. Pull forward and pull the flap, okay? If you do that, you never let this go, okay? And you don't let it relax. So I'm constantly managing that bottom flap. Make sense? Cool. All right. So next is, so I went under the bottom flap. I went under the top flap. I'm gonna pull this out so that my pin is just outside. I'm gonna go under the first side flap. So through the Sigma D-ring, and you're going under, and you're gonna close that one all the way. So what you're trying to do here is get that Sigma D-ring to at least touch the grommet. I try and get it all the way over, but as far as you can get it, minimum is touching the grommet. Then you're gonna go, so important that you have about 2 inches from the D-ring to the end. You need that because you gotta go over the next flap. So far we've gone under, 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 and now we're gonna go over. So hold that in place, and Instead of going this way, we go this way. Straight down through, like that. Now watch. This is the tricky part. Pull tension and just give it a snap, okay? And you see this exposed loop right here? That's where you're gonna put your pin. Right there, okay? So watch how I do this. You have to support the pin, all right? If you don't support the pin properly, then it's gonna make it hard. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go shoot for that hole in the closing loop, aim for the Sigma D ring right here, and let those be your guide, okay? So the ring touches that D ring, and then you're simply gonna push the pin and release your pull-up cord. And that pulls the pin and allows it to sit there. When you pull your pull-up cord out, shore up the pin so it doesn't pull it back on you, and away you go. So, another little thing here is that the pin is sitting on the binding tape here, okay? It's being pulled that direction, but it gives something for the pin to rotate on as well. So obviously you don't want to jam that all the way up in there. We've done a bunch of tests. We've never had it lock up on us, but clearly if you can get it just like that, you're good. And then stowing the bridle is super clean as well. So you take your first fold here. I'm coming down from the bottom with both, by the way. And that can go right inside here. And your window is right there, ready to go.
Oop, there we go. Got off this. There
So,
we go.
and close it up. And away you go. One thing to note that when you're packing the main pilot chute, rather than being this tight little.
Hold on. Let me get back here a little bit. I can't see so much very well
Sorry.
here. You all right?
So if you look at the BOC pocket, it kind of fills that whole bottom flap, right? So what you want to do is you want to pack the pilot chute flat and wide so it fills the pocket. Okay, you don't want to pack it a little tiny sausage all the way down here when you have this entire pocket, and it allows everything to come out nice and clean as well. So when I pack these, I actually pack it so that it fills the pocket.
Yep.
Okay. It also makes a nice clean finish when you're done versus having this big old thing hanging out down here.
Right. All right. Anything else you want to look at as far as the closing system is concerned? Other people's concerns about other packing issues that they've discussed with us? They've show them how difficult it would be to misroute the pin.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep. So we're going to do a couple little things just to show you.
So this is just such an awkward angle for everybody. Sorry, guys.
So just like anything we do, there's ways to fuck shit up. And I've yet to find one that I can mess this thing up and actually cause anything bad to happen. That's not to say that it can't, but I have yet to find one that is a viable concern.
It sounds like a challenge.
So, there's all different kinds of ways you can mess it up, but it won't stay in a messed up way because as soon as you move the rig, it's going to want to pull the pin. So there was a concern about the double looping the pin, I guess you'd call it, or getting the pin through the Sigma D ring. So right there, just like I showed you before, let's just mess around with the pin a little bit. Let's just see how hard it is to do something bad, okay? So let's say I get the pin in, right, like that, and I go through the.
It's hard.
It's
hard to
really
even do it.
difficult to do. You have to forcefully be doing something bad.
You
okay?
have to purposely do it.
So there's that. Now I'm gonna even pull my pull-up cord out and see how it looks. Okay, so I had to have clearly done something wrong there. All right. So now let's just see what happens when we pull it. Oh, look at that. I even did it wrong and it still worked. Now, I did it wrong and it probably wouldn't want to, you'd probably have someone doing a pin check, I would hope, and fix that for you. But that's one example. But again, it doesn't prevent anything from happening. It's not a container lock.
Right.
I don't even know what else we did. There were so many dumb little things that we tried that we couldn't get it to make.
Well, it was just we couldn't get the pin to hold and try.
Yeah, you can't get the
it would
pin.
automatically just slide out because it was incorrect.
Right. So it's very difficult, and it would have to be extremely deliberate to do it. Misrouted badly. So I'll show another one more time for everybody.
See if I can't come from this direction.
Remember, try and just get them to touch. Get that D-ring to touch the grommet.
Over top of the last flap. That's the only change in sequence.
What were we trying to do?
And we tried doing a million things.
Yeah, so that probably will just end up pulling and going into regular to the way it's supposed to be, right?
Right.
So clearly there's ways that you can maliciously mess it up, but with a little bit of education and a little bit of training, minimal, this video, you should be able to pack it fairly simple.
And you can still pack it on top, right?
You can. Let's go ahead and show that as well. If you do want to pack with the pin on the top of this, you are going to have to shorten the closing loop by about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Because as you'll see, once I pin this, it's going to allow the side flaps to just open up a little bit more because the lack of the second or the over-the-top routing. But that is how you would do that, and just as pin protected as a normal rig with grommet side flaps.
And just lose a tiny little bit of the low profile.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you would, yeah, exactly. A little this.
That pops up just a little.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. What else? What else we got? We got anything else?
No, I think that should do it. That's the end of the show and tell portion.
All right. Let's get back here.
You want to go into Q&A?
Yeah, I think that's where we are. So, all right, kids. Let me hop over here, move us back, see what kind of questions you got for us. Thanks for your help, Steve. All right.
All right. So, if there's anybody else still out there in La La Land,
let me pull us up our chat and see what we got. All right. Let's see. Here we are. All right, guys. Talk to me. We got questions. Spit them at me. Nothing so far. You guys are pretty silent over there. Can we get all the hardware to include the cable housing in black?
The cable housings do come in black if you order the stealth package.
Yep, the stealth package. Yep.
Yeah, I'll go get one to show you.
Can you tell this was modeled in 3D? The fitment is so clean. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, we're pretty stoked about it. It's definitely come a long way. There you go. There's the black hardware. you show the harness again?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a question to show the harness. Would you like to see
no,
that?
that's Trevor. Trevor wants us to show us the harness again. And while you put on the harness, let's talk a little bit about the customization options. Go ahead and put. Oh, you're gonna have to close that rig up, aren't you? I'll come around there and talk to these guys about this a little bit while we can.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll close this. All right. Cool. I'm having to work off this, guys. So working off like 3 different things. Bear with me. Okay. Let's talk about the customization. So, back pad is one of the major customizations that we've changed. You can now put a Cadora, spacer foam, or the Dave. Cush, thank you. Cush, the Cush padding. When you choose Cadora, you now have different options for colors because we've separated out all of the back of that, which he has my other rig there. So we'll just show this here. Now all of this is included. None of these are upgrades. The only upgrades that you're going to pay for are, let's see, upgraded risers. If you wanted any specialty risers, any specialty embroidery, and the self package. Those are the only things that you can actually upgrade. Everything else comes fully included. Now that means 5 points of embroidery, which is a mud flap, both sidewalls. 4, I'm sorry. I know. I was like, wait a minute. That's not right. 4. Excuse me. 4 points of embroidery. The mud flap, both sidewalls, and the reserve flap. And you'll be able to see all of the original design options on the designer when that goes live. I'm not quite there yet. Still waiting for them to give us the go. Everything else is already included.
They have the full gamut of options.
Full gamut of options. Let me check here. Reserve PC. What is the fabric to mesh ratio?
It's 50-50.
50-50 is the fabric to mesh ratio on the Reserve PC.
The Reserve PC is the exact same pilot chute that we used on the Glide.
Same pilot chute we used on the Glide. Let's see here. The tattoo package. Now, if you want the rig fully loaded as it is tattooed here, that's an extra $900 charge. So that is your special embroidery upgrade. This thing is fully loaded, and we have an additional $900 on top of the other 4 points that are already included. So if you want it totally decked out, just as it is, it's $5,000, not $4,100. But we can obviously work that if you'd like. Now you can choose any of the designs and pick and choose anywhere on the rig that you want them, including the back pad. Really, there's very few points that we can't customize. Let's see here. Try to scroll and keep up with you guys. The nub is the standard deployment handle. We can change that option if you're not interested in the nub, but that is standard.
Hacky or a nub.
Or hacky or a nub, yep. Let's see. He's getting that going.
RSL.
Can I get a flying monkey embroidered pattern, or is it set embroidery? No, you can get whatever you want. You can send us whatever you want to be embroidered. We have to send that off to be digitized, so that you will then incur the digitization fee. So when put on it whatever you want, if it's a small location, it's $35. If it's a large location, it's $85 plus the digitization fee. So the digitization fee. There we go. Anything else? Talk to me, guys.
Harness.
Excuse me?
I'm ready to do the harness.
Okay, throw it on. All right. Throw the harness one more time.
All right, so there was a viewer asking for another demo on the harness. So I'm just going to put it on again, and I'm not going to talk about it this time. You just watch me do it.
Trevor, the leg strap from the glide carryover. It is a two-piece leg strap. I believe the GT is an option on the GT, but it's now a two-piece leg strap standard.
The rig comes with this harness on it.
No chest ring, options. There's no room for it, and there's no reason for it.
Right. So because we changed this, it angles everything differently, so that actually removes the need for a chest ring articulation. And the back pad, I don't know if I can show you this, but the back pad is longer, right? So usually that's where the ring is. So now we've extended the back pad a little bit longer so that we can sew it in different. So there's no place, we can't sew through the hardware. So harness fit should be, the center of the ring should be right at the belly button meridian. Like we talked about, the over the shoulder area of the back pad, which is part of the whole system, contours around. That's what makes it feel really nice. Combined with the stabilizer and the short side leg adapter here. So that pulls directly on, so it sucks everything to your lower back and then makes it feel nice and relieve all that pressure off your shoulders. So again, I have the same range of motion I would have with articulation with this rig that doesn't have the chest articulation. But we still have the hip, and it's again different with the ring facing forward versus down like other rigs do.
Nigel is asking us to show him the magnetic riser covers again. He missed that part.
Absolutely, let's do that.
Yeah, Gary, the D-rings are definitely more durable and smooth. It prevents a lot of wear and tear on that main container. Jenny's asking about color options.
All of them.
All of them?
You get all the color options. The only thing you don't have color options on is the cushion, the spacer foam, because that comes in black. And also the BOC pocket material. This is a really heavy duty specialty material that we really like to use for the BOC pockets, and that only comes in black as well.
Yep.
So those are areas that I can't change the color there, but everywhere else you got it.
All right. So we have a million different Cordura colors. These are our, let's see, this is our spacer foam, and then our cush, and then a million different colors for Cordura, including all of your Cryptex and your camos and your digis. Then you have harness and riser colors galore to choose from, and then all of your tapes. So there's not very many colors that we're missing. All right.
Just be aware of your computer screen on the designer, and the colors are not true to what the actual die lot is on the floor at the time when your rig is made.
I'm going to do my best to get an example of each one of these online for you, but again, I can't control the tone on your screen.
But we do our best to get them. I mean, and all the colors are really nice, and you see pictures of all your stuff before we build, so you'll get an opportunity to see the photo, or at least video or photos of the colors that you're looking for. So, magnetic riser covers for Nigel. Let's do it. So I'm just going to open this one up so you can see. Open. So in a shear type of scenario, very simple. There are 3 magnets here, 1, 2, 3, and 3 magnets here, 1, 2, 3.
I was just asked, since you're right there, I was just asked, how do you check the MARD after the reserve tray is closed?
How do you check the MARD after the reserve tray is closed? So that is something we don't have. I know that Kelly's, or the Infinity MARD system, has a window that you can check. We are able to check our MARD all the way up until the right side, or the wearer's left side flap is closed. You can actually, until the top flap is closed, because you can see everything inside.
Yeah, show, pull that up. Can you pull that open and show that with that one?
I'm not going to unpack this reserve.
Oh, I didn't realize it had to be popped.
Yeah, so it's during the packing process. You can't check it once the final close. Once it's pinned, the MARD is set, and you have to have looked at it prior to that. We don't have that window.
You do have the Collins lanyard window. You do have a Collins lanyard window, however, that we showed earlier.
Yeah, the Collins lanyard has its own little check window here. You can see there, it's got a little cover and all that. But the MARD itself you cannot check. I know what you're talking about because the Infinity Mard has a window on the back pad that you can actually see the pin.
Yes, we are looking at around an 8 to 10-ish week lead time right now. Give or take a little bit. We might be a little bit sooner, but we're gonna say 10 weeks. This is just questions that are coming in as we're here.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over the magnetic riser covers for Nigel before I forget. Sorry, Nigel. All right, so we talked about 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna just open this up so you can see anybody can do this. Okay, it's just a triple fold, and the vinyl pocket is inside like so. Okay, so you see that, and this is a 0.03 vinyl, right? Super heavy duty, nice, easy. You can sew through it. It makes it really easy if you just get a hairdryer. And I'm trying to get this stupid light out of your face and out of mine. So, if you take a hairdryer, you see the little slots. Man, this is such a pain. All right, so these little slots here, if I can show you, you can see them. I can just pop one magnet out right there. And you can see how easy it is for me just to grab that sucker and out it goes. We'll throw it on Stephanie's computer here. And then it goes back in, and then you just have to get the little lip, and it should stay right in there. So if the vinyl becomes rigid, you just get a hairdryer, hit it with a hairdryer, it loosens up, and away you go. So usually I have a little tool that does that. So as you can see, that window has room for these to move. We want these all to be, we don't want to lock them in because then it makes it really hard for the other stuff that's moving around. So you want the magnets to have a little bit of play so that they lock in and they find their home together. You can add, we were saying earlier, there's space in here to add another small magnet. I mean, the magnets come in all different sizes, so you can add another 5 pounds or so if you wanted to up front. Depending on what you're doing, you can put them in back if you need to. That's usually where people put them, 1 or 2 in here and 1 or 2 in here. The middle really doesn't do much if you add anything. And then the same type of thing is on the inside of the yoke. So you have the same system there.
Jenny Brown's asking about placement of the reserve handles. Obviously, those of us ladies, we want our chest strap and things maybe be a little bit lower and not in the middle of all of our parts.
Yep.
Jenny's talking about the ability to move those a little bit lower and out of the way.
Absolutely. So we have 5 different yoke sizes. So depending on your size, number 1. Then number 2, where we want to place the chest strap, we can adjust the over the shoulder part to place that in the appropriate place that's still safe.
Yep. All right. Does that answer your question, Jenny? We're a little bit of a lag, so
Okay.
we'll give it a couple there. Let's see. Can you use a pull-out on this system?
Yep, we can put a pull-out on it. It actually works really nice. I built one of the first prototypes with a pull-out. The same system applies. The straight pin just goes straight underneath, and it packs up exactly the same. We do need to know what main parachutes you're putting in because obviously we add pack volume with the pilot chute being placed inside the main container. So there's a little bit more work done at the ordering stage when we place the order just to make sure we get it right, but absolutely we can do it.
All right, let's see. Jenny, we are in Brooklyn, Connecticut. And yeah, we do schedule
Factory tours?
factory tours.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
We can definitely see, you can try on a rig, whether or not we have one that is going to be sized to you or not when you're here is questionable. We can't promise that. But obviously welcome to come in and have a tour and see what we can do.
Yeah, I'll give you a tour. You can look at all the fabric. We can go to the designer. You can play around with all the stuff that we've got here. And like Steph said, it really depends on what's in the factory when you come, as far as it fitting you. You know, it's a crapshoot. But once we do build a custom rig for anybody, we stand behind that fit for a year at least, unless the body changes dramatically.
Jenny, I'm sorry, we don't manufacture parachutes. We are full service though. We can basically take care of and order and any of the parts that are attached to the rig. So, and Dave can talk a little bit about that with the rigging services that.
Yeah, we're full service. We're a dealer for all the canopy manufacturers, most of the AED manufacturers. We put full rigs together every day, all day long. So we can act as your dealer from start to finish. Custom harness container system, whatever parachute you want, AED you want, and then if you buy 3 of the 4 major components, then through us, then we assemble the rig and deliver it ready to jump at no charge. There's no extra charge for the assembly and first pack job.
I was just asked about the D-bag, the semi-stowless D-bag. Do you have one right there?
The blaze bag, the semi-stowless blaze bag, there should be some right there in one of those bins right there.
And see the bins.
There should be one right.
Standard.
No, just check in the bins. There should be plenty of blaze bags. They're all together.
Okay, got it. Here we go.
They're by size.
Bigger one, so maybe you can get in there.
All right.
That.
So here's our semi-stowless bag. Pretty simple. I know it's kind of hard to see with the light there, but it just has these 2 tuck tabs here, and if you go from the outside, they come out fairly easily, I should say, just because the tabs, the curves allow it to come out when you pull it from the outside. But there's a line stow pocket. So line stows here, 2 grommets, locking stows, line stow pocket, and then the tuck tabs hold the line stow pocket shut. Like that. And it's called Blaze Bag.
The live stream should be available for you guys to watch later whenever you would like. Chris is asking why we moved away from the Pop Top Reserve.
We didn't move away from it. We wanted to incorporate both designs in our product line. So it was always from the beginning of time in my head that we were going to move into this, at least for the last 10 years, because that was a major design parameter for the Falkyn. So it's more of adding, let's say, an SUV to our production line or our product offerings. Okay, so we're not the Glide and the GT are still available, and they're going to continue to still be available. They're great systems. There's nothing wrong with them. They just have the semi-exposed pop top. The Falkyn has a bunch of other new things and different things from that, but the major one is that. So reasons being, I'll just give you a couple. Riggers have a hard time packing them, the semi-exposed, right? The F-111, the pilot chute material wants to come out if it's not seated properly. They don't tend to look as great when they're not packed with a shorter closing loop, so any little deviation from the manual can tend to make it not look as intended. Out in the desert, in desert environments, again, that pilot chute material coming out, getting exposed to sunlight, and also dirt and sand and things that are able to really get in there and affect the reserve pilot chute. Everything else about it, functionality, I cannot find a measurable difference between extraction or the pilot chute launches. Getting a pilot chute out of a semi-exposed versus a pilot chute with an internal. You're talking milliseconds of difference in getting that spring out. So measurable differences that equate to something in our world, I can't find a scientific reason not to have this. Those are pretty much it. I wanted to have both product offerings, and I wanted to design a system with that would do that.
TSO, is it a new TSO, or it's just an addition, correct?
Nope, this is not a new TSO. This is an evolution of the Glide. We were able to, this is to test, and so everything's been retested. This went through a full test program, and we've had some of the best people in the industry jumping and testing this thing. Very smart individuals that that put some effort and time into it. So the answer is no, it's not a new TSO. It falls under my current TSO and my minor changes.
Anything else, guys? What we got? Sorry, one thing died. Had to go to the other device. So, let's see. Colby, you're back. What's up, buddy? Pending any other questions. There it is, buddy.
There you go, Colby. This is Colby's, Josh Colby's.
Colby's new rig. Let's see. Pending any other questions, I think that's all we got.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you everybody for
Appreciate
for checking it out. Like I said, it's a big deal for us. This is our new flagship. Everything is direct to consumer sales, so we are the only place you can get this product. We're only building 200 in the year 2022, and that is because we are keeping our capacity low on purpose so that we can keep the quality up, keep our team intact, and keep things going out in a timely fashion. And I think limiting our production is a good idea this year, just to kind of ease in, let this product get out on the market, and keep everything kosher.
Oh, we still have 2 other systems we're building at the same time. So, let's see. How strong is the reserve PC in pounds?
It is the exact same as the Glide. The fabric components of the reserve pilot chute are exactly the same as the Glide. It's a 38-inch diameter cut, mesh and F111. The only big difference between the two is that the spring is flipped for the internal, and it doesn't have a finished cap. It's got a finished cap, but it doesn't have to have pinstripes and all your crazy stuff on it. It's a production finished cap that's hidden underneath. Okay. So those are the only 2 major changes. If I recall correctly, our initial snatch force, if you will, of the reserve pilot chute at terminal is 85 pounds. Don't hold me to that. I believe it's 85, and then our sustained is about 65. So those are test values that we did through PIA with every harness container system maybe about 10 years ago. We did all the rigs that wanted to participate, and we did various tests with dragging the pilot chute for 15 seconds and capturing data, and also capturing the initial snatch for it, the onset.
Sean, we do offer a military discount. You can go onto our website. On the top left corner, you'll see 3 little lines. It'll be a drop-down menu, and you'll be able to go to support and services. You'll be able to see the programs that we have that we offer discounts for. So yes, we do offer a military discount. Chris is asking, since you helped design the Jav, when using smaller canopies, is the bottom end tapered?
The smallest rigs are slightly tapered, yes. So our F100, F1, F2s are tapered, and at the F3, which I believe is the 113 optimum size, and higher is where they go vertical. So, and they're only slightly tapered in, very, very gradually. Yeah. Then at the 3, so optimum 113 and up, it goes vertical, and I believe they stay vertical to the 190, which, oh, by the way, these rigs are only available up to a 193 optimum reserve size and a compatible main. So anything larger than a 193 low pack volume reserve will be in the GT platform. Sorry, the Glide platform.
Amanda, you said you have questions about the main flaps. Talk to me. We're obviously going to keep the video live, so you'll be able to see everything and anything that you missed. But while we're still on here, you said that you have some questions about the main flaps. Need music in the background.
I can do some funny stuff.
Why the D rings? How does the main pin rotate for extraction?
Let's encourage you to watch the video.
And I can shoot you a clip and everything, because we went through and explained all of the details on the main flaps and the changes and how that main pin rotates on the D ring for extraction.
Watch the video later.
Yeah, we'll get it. And it'll stay up for you guys, so you guys can review it whenever. Anything else, guys? What we got?
For the riggers out there, just the difference. So there are some major differences so that we can delineate between the two. We go to an orange and white. Oh, by the way, there's the cap of the reserve pilot chute. So the Falkyn has an orange and white pilot chute, and the Glide and the GT will still have the black F111. So there's color delineations between, so we don't mix and match products.
How does the downsize affect the D-ring spacing? Well, you got to make sure and shorten your closing loop first of all. Make sure and change your closing loop according to the size of the main that you have in there. But are there any outside of that? It shouldn't affect the distance or the spacing of the D-rings as you downsize, right?
Right. So each rig can have 3 different mains. So we size the rig by the reserve size, and then for every standard reserve size, we put on 3 available main containers. We provide 3 available main containers for that. One main container that's a size larger than the reserve, one that's the same size or as close to, and one that's smaller. And then within those 3, we allow a 1 up, 1 down from ideal. So with the main closing loop retainer on the wall of the reserve, it allows you to have that more flexibility to be able to downsize. When the closing loop's on the reserve bottom flap, you can make it an inch, you still have to get through grommets. So you have nowhere for the pin to go. So you max out at about 7/8 of an inch. You're not gonna get a closing loop shorter than that. So if your rig was made for a 150 and you're throwing a 120 in there and you can only get your closing loop an inch, you're not gonna be able to get enough tension on the pin to hold the rig closed. So that's one of the bigger reasons why we moved it onto the inside, so that we allow that bigger range. But again, you're gonna have to adjust your closing loop.
Talking about main and reserve, different sizes, the variation that you can have. So we don't really want to go any more than what 20 to 30 square feet max in difference, and that's in pack volume. That's not necessarily in canopy size, because you could be flying a sail canopy, and that's going to pack 3 sizes bigger, allowing your reserve size to be a little bit larger as well.
And it's wing loading and performance level of the main parachute you're jumping. So there's a lot of factors in there other than just deviation in size.
What canopy range per main tray size? Again, we try to go up 1 and down 1, Jacob. So whatever we build it from, you can overstuff it by 1 and understuff it by 1, given not too drastic of a material and canopy change.
Right. Remember, it's not all about size these days. There's sailcloth, there's hybrid, there's ZP, there's F111, there's all different types of construction that affect pack volume. It's not just the,
You're gonna like this one. Force necessary to fully compress the reserve PC.
31 pounds. Actually, sorry. It's, I want to say it's, I'd have to get the paperwork, but I think it's 38 to 40 pounds on brand new when it's compressed to 1 inch. So that's what we read at 1 inch. It's the same, the reserve pilot chute spring was changed in our system in 2015, anticipating this change. So we changed, this is the same spring that everyone that has an internal reserve pilot chute gets the spring from the same place, including us. It's called a 37 RW for those that care.
Let's see, are there line stows on the reserve free bag?
Line stow pocket, not line stows. Right, it's the free bag. The only change to the free bag is that it's not a molar bag. It's now got 2 grommets, top and bottom skin, and you use a soft bodkin versus a molar bag, which is sewn up the center.
There is a sizing chart for the main and reserves for the Falkyn, and that will be live sooner than later.
Yep, the Falkyn sizing chart will be available sometime this week when the designer and everything goes up.
I think that's all we got. Any more questions, guys? We're gonna wrap this up.
Here's the free bag.
There you go.
I can show you. So it's not a molar bag. It's just got the 2 grommets in them. Ding, ding, and there's the line stow pocket. Oh, duh. One more other big thing. Don't go away yet. We put a tracker pocket in it.
Oh
my God, I
tracker
can't believe we forgot this.
pocket.
Hold on a second. This is a cool thing.
So Trevor, what's the number one thing we notice once we try one on over everything else on the market? The fit and the feel of that harness. That's the first thing you notice is the fit and feel of that rig. Go ahead.
Yep. So, for those of you who have spent $300-400 replacing your shit because you didn't have a MARD that kept it together or you just lost it, we're trying to help you out there. This is an Apple AirTag. Okay, we put a pocket on the free bag so that anybody with one of these or a tile or one of the little tracker devices, the little whatever they're called thing, it goes right in the little pocket. Bloop. And all a rigger has to do, doesn't have to be a senior or a master rigger, all they got to do is do one little stitch row right there. Done. And it's over with. Now you got a tracker in there. Traveling, you can always know where your rig is if you check your rig. If it gets stolen, they're not going to know where it is. You're going to be able to find them before they realize that they got a tracking device in there. And 3, if you lose your free bag in your pilot chute, at least you got an iPhone, you can go find your shit.
Does the free bag normally stay with the main after cutaway?
Typically, yes, the MARD will hold it together, but if the pilot chute creates enough drag during the descent and it's loose enough, it'll just pull the pin and sometimes they will separate. But 85-90% they land with it.
What else we got? Come on, guys. Sweet. All right, 4:30. We're gonna get things cleaned up around the shop. If you guys have any other questions, curiosities, shoot me an email, pmisales@peregrinemfginc.com. We will be sending everyone out an email letting them know when the designer goes live, which should be sooner than later, but we're waiting on that word now. So, I think that wraps it up.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody coming in and checking it out. Spread the good word. Fly a fucking Falcon.
Thanks, kids.
Appreciate it.
See you soon.
See ya.